Yeah. I mean, it was terrible of me not to remember an instance of it when it was actually my debut.
I'll bring it up if you don't remember. Don't worry about it. I've got your back. Coming up on the official Celtic FC podcast, Cillian Sheridan joins us as we look ahead to a big week of action and back on his Celtic career.
I remember my ma kind of said, "You text me every night, you know," and I'm like...
Hear from Anthony Ralston as he takes part in our game of first and last.
This is the official Celtic FC podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome along to the official Celtic FC podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Marr, and if you're new to the podcast, welcome along to our new Tuesday show, which we're going to bring you every Tuesday, live in our studio from Celtic. If you're new to the podcast, we did bring out our first episode last week, and just to give you a little refresh of what we're going to be doing this year with our new rebranded podcast, we're going to bring you shows every Tuesday. We're also going to bring you shows every Friday, audio only, which will be looking ahead to the weekend's action, and we're also going to bring you shows post-match from Celtic Park as well. So there's going to be lots and lots of shows to get into, lots of guests, and hopefully lots for you to enjoy listening to as well. I've introduced myself alongside me for this episode. We've got Matthew Campbell. Matthew, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Fantastic. Very, very enjoyable weekend, I've got to say.
It was indeed.
A couple of good results and some other nice things that happened as well, which maybe we'll get a little chat about as we go on.
Yep. A lot going on at the weekend and a lot to get into. And of course, we're going to have the big Champions League game against Lazio, which we're going to preview as well. And alongside yourself and myself for this episode, we've got none other than a man that's been capped by the Republic of Ireland. He's a youth academy graduate. He's scored for Celtic. He's had some really big Champions League nights of his own at Celtic Park as well. It is none other than Cillian Sheridan. Cillian, how are we? Thank you so much for joining us.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks for the nice little intro that. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. How's life at the moment?
Good. Training, staying fit, free agent.
Yes.
Fit, a current fit free agent, ready to go. That's pretty much been me all summer since I've been coming back from injury, so it's been good so far. So just need a club now.
Yeah. What's life been like as a free agent over the summer? I know you were in not too long ago in the podcast, and at that point I think you were still just getting back from your injury, but you're now fit and firing and training. So as you said, just ready to get going now?
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking back on that podcast because I didn't really know what was coming up, what I'd be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was I was quite cynical, thinking my contract finished, then I'd have to go my own way to get myself fit. And Dundee actually were very, very sound with me, and they kind of rehabbed me over the summer and are letting me continue to train in there. So they kind of surprised me with my football experience. Kind of the cynicism came into me. So Dundee have been brilliant with me, letting me train, getting me back fit. So I'm feeling good. Yeah.
And Matt, Cillian obviously being back in at Celtic Park, obviously a player that we'll all know very, very well. I mean, for yourself, Cillian, is it just always nice to come back into the stadium again? Does it bring back some good memories?
Yeah, no, it is. Every time, if I'm coming here maybe to watch the odd game or something, it's always nice to know that I have a connection to I actually played there, I've scored here and stuff like that. So it always, every time driving past or around the stadium, you can always brings back little memories from my time here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got a lot to get into, so why don't we get straight into it? The weekend's action away to Motherwell. I mean, Matt, have you ever experienced a game like that with such late drama before?
Well, I mean, it's incredible. There is no better way to win a match than to win late, win with the last kick of the ball pretty much as well. I was thinking back to it, obviously Brendan Rodgers' first spell in charge, the 4-3 game at Fir Park in the December of 2016. That was high drama. Also, Dundee United, I don't know if you remember the Dundee United game at Celtic Park, February 2022, I think that would have been.
Yeah, and Abada
scored late. Again, what a wonderful moment. But that at the weekend, to score late and think that that'll be the goal that wins it. Then to concede a really late equaliser, and it's so deflating. But then the goal to win it, I mean, it's absolutely sensational. The ball in from Taylor is pinpoint, and Matt O'Reilly is the coolest man in Fir Park at that point in time. You know, he rises from the ground and meets the ball and just knocks it into the top corner of the net.
On his right foot as well, wasn't it?
It was his
Right foot, yeah,
that's
weak
correct,
foot. I know, to have the composure to do that, it was incredible. From a completely selfish point of view, I was at the match having to write a match report, which had to get rewritten. So started off writing it about 85th minute, starting to write 0-0, we've dropped points, trying to think, okay, how can I paint the narrative here? And then we score the goal. I'm like, right, okay, start writing that. Luis Palma's first goal for Celtic. It's a big 3 points. Then they score. And then I'm thinking, there's only 5 minutes of added time, and this is the 95th minute. What else is going to happen here? And then to do that. So as much as I enjoyed the moment, also part of me was like, can someone just give me a break here for a moment?
Absolutely.
But obviously so much happier that it happened. Cillian, have you ever been involved in a game with that much drama towards the end of it before?
Not that I can remember, no. It's not often a game you have. They pretty much had 2 last-minute winners in the same game. Like it was mental. But even like that'll be demoralising for obviously Motherwell at the weekend. But see, like going forward, if you're other teams like that, and you've maybe you're in the last minute, you still never know. Like if we've got a point back now, or it puts that seeded doubt now for the rest of the season, where it's like teams are thinking, I don't know if we have won this now, or if we have got a point yet.
Yeah.
And we've just got such a history of these results all throughout the story of this football club. There have been games that we've gone on and you think, this is, we're not going to win this, it'll be a draw here, and we just come up with a goal late in the game. It doesn't really matter who the manager is, who the players are. It's just something that's woven into the DNA of the football club. I know that Brendan spoke about that after the game as well. He was talking about how the character, the personality of Celtic is that you have to keep going till the very end. But I just sometimes wonder if there's just something written into the fabric of this football club that says, no, we will, several times a season come up with the goods late in the match, and there's no, like I say, there's no better way to win it, I don't think.
Cillian, did you ever feel that when you were a player here? I remember your debut against Inverness, that was quite famous for scoring a late goal. Did you ever feel that when you were a player here, that you just had that confidence? And then also another side of things, when you've played against Celtic, have you always had that feeling of they're always going to come back into it?
Yeah. I mean, it was terrible of me not to remember an instance of it when it was actually my debut.
I'll bring it up if you don't remember. Don't worry about it. I've got your back.
It's like I said, I've probably experienced it more on the other end of it, on the receiving end, where you're like, you might go up a goal or you'll claw back, but there is still always that feeling of you're never really safe. Like you're almost waiting for them to get that chance or to get that goal. But like thinking back to the time when Gordon Strachan, I remember his big thing was he was very big on fitness. So his thing was like, if it's getting to the 85th, 90th minute, he was like, we're going to be, not only will I have the best players in the league, I'm also going to have the fittest players. So when it gets to that time, the other teams are down on their feet. We're still, like, it's I've said it already, it's demoralising to see other players, like a team that's, has better technical players, but they're also probably fitter than you as well. It can beat you mentally before the game's over.
Yeah. And I think the most impressive thing about this team over the last couple of seasons, and then again it was demonstrated on Saturday as well, is that when Motherwell scored, my first thought is that, okay, well, that's it, the game's over, there is only 5 minutes. Speaking to Matt O'Reilly after the match, he said the first thing that he done was he went to the referee and said, how long's left? And the referee said 2 minutes. And straight away, they were on the front foot. And like the way that they attacked straight from kickoff, you actually thought to yourself, there's going to be another chance here. Like, I don't know, like, see from a player's point of view, like, what does it take to have that mentality to go when you have those periods, or you have those moments where you might go a goal behind, where a team might equalise, to just come straight back at it again? Like, is it something you can teach? I don't know.
It's like a big thing of it is momentum. but it's hard to get momentum after a team has just scored in the 95th minute, like to draw level. So I don't know how to like create momentum from that.
That might just tie into what you're mentioning though about the fitness, just being able to tap into a superior fitness.
Yeah.
Having the sort of the calm mentality that we can control this game, even with only 2 minutes of stoppage time left.
Yeah.
If we want to, we can control this. And you just look at the goal. You know, like I say, the ball is wonderful. Also, James Forrest, the experience of James Forrest, his run across the box as well for that goal takes one or two defenders away, which allows Matt O'Reilly the space to come through at the back post. So. I'm still just buzzing about the whole thing, I think, to be fair,
It also wasn't a case of just like everyone charging into the box and it was just a long hoof ball in where it's like kind of create a bit of panic in the box. It was still going about it like the way they've been playing all season. So they obviously have that belief in how they play that they'll create chances, and to be able to like continue to do that in, like you're saying, in the 95th, 96th minute. Yeah. When you know, right, we've got 2 minutes left. Yeah. Let's keep doing what we do, and then with like they're believing in that they're going to create a chance.
Yeah, and it was a really important result as well. The results that took place later on that day, and which really kind of goes to show how important that was to get that goal. So, and it leads us very nicely as well to Wednesday night against Lazio in the Champions League. You think for the confidence of the players, it's only going to do them the world of good. But as we build up to that, Matt, the listeners, if they listen to Friday's show, will know that you've got your stat book.
Yes, I do.
Prepared for all these matches. So you've been looking into some of the stats ahead of this tie against Lazio.
I have indeed. So this is the famous stat book right here in front of us.
We're calling it famous.
Well, yeah. I mean, it'll become famous. I'm not sure this will become a famous book.
This will be downstairs in the archives of Celtic Park soon, in the boardroom for people to see in the tours very, very, very
Absolutely.
shortly.
No, I believe this will end up in the cabinet at one point. So having a little look sort of at Celtic's record against Italian opposition through the years, I've got to say, overall, it doesn't make for great reading, if I'm being quite honest with you. Now, obviously, we've had great moments against Italian sides through the years. We've beaten Fiorentina in the European Cup back in the 1969-1970 season. Obviously defeated Lazio, we've defeated Juventus, we've defeated AC Milan. The most famous result against an Italian side, of course, comes in 1967, defeating Inter Milan to win the European Cup.
Forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of advice is just to keep that in mind always when it comes to this club, innit? But looking at the numbers, there's no way of getting around this. It's not great. So at Celtic Park against Italian opposition in competitive fixtures, the scoreline is currently 19 goals for Italian teams and only 17 goals for Celtic. In Italy against Italian opposition, the scoreline is 22 goals to 8 in favour of Italian opposition. And on aggregate, including the European Cup final, which was played at a neutral venue, the scoreline is Celtic 27, Italian opposition 42.
That was one of the scores in the Rugby World Cup fixture.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great. But as we look back, to the games against Lazio a few years ago, the game here, of course, dramatic finish to the match. Chris Julian coming up with the header to win the game. Fraser Forster coming away with a wonderful save as well to prevent us dropping points right at the death. But our win over in Rome against Lazio, that wonderful chip from Olivier Ntcham right at the end of the match to win the game. That was our first ever victory on Italian soil. We had never won in Italy in a competitive fixture before that. Some of our listeners or viewers for this podcast may be old enough to remember the 1970 European Cup final. We were defeated by Feyenoord, which was a shock of a result at the time. That should have technically been our first win on Italian soil because it was played at San Siro, but it wasn't to be. But I was having a little look into this Celtic's relationship with Lazio, because you'd be forgiven for thinking that it started in 2019. We played them in the Europa League. But in actual fact, it goes way further back than that. We actually faced Lazio in 1950. We travelled over to Rome for the Holy Year, As part of that visit, the team were granted an audience with the Pope, which was quite a special moment for a number of those players. In fact, Jimmy Hogan, who was a Celtic coach at that point in time, said that they were only a matter of a few yards away from the Pope, and when the Celtic team was announced as being present, he looked directly at the Celtic team and blessed all of them. So, whether or not you want to take that as a direct source or not, it's up to you. But that trip to Rome, like I say, it was special, but we also played against Lazio whilst we were there. It was a friendly match, or it was supposed to be a friendly match, but in actual fact it was anything but. The referee in that match awarded over 40 free kicks, and he actually sent 2 players off. He sent off Leandro Remondini for Lazio and John McPhail for Celtic. The game ended 0-0. Later that year, Lazio travelled to Glasgow. They were the first Italian club ever to play in Scotland. They came to Celtic Park. It was a soaking wet night. Over 40,000 supporters turned up for that game. And John McPhail, who had been red carded in Rome, scored 4 goals that night, and Celtic won 4-0. So we have a little bit of a relationship with them going way back, 73 years. Recent history, of course. We beat them home and away a few years ago. So coming into this game during the week in the Champions League, Cillian, how do you fancy our chances?
I think if you look at form at the minute and where the two clubs are, it's probably the best, a great time to play a team like Lazio.
Yeah.
Especially in the Champions League, for your first home game as well. I do think it's a tough group because there's no... I suppose Atletico Madrid are probably the main team in it. There's no big massive name no Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or a heavy favoured team. So I think sometimes it can be very difficult when there's 3 or 4 kind of teams that are similar level, where they all kind of think that they can progress. But I think going back to the game with Lazio, it is probably the best time to face them if you're believing everything coming out of there. So
because at the moment, I think Lazio have won twice out of 7 games in the league. They lost 2-0 to AC Milan at the weekend as well. So their form coming into it isn't the best, but then at the same time they also finished second in Serie A last season, so it's what one do you want to take? They've got a coach in Maurizio Sarri who's coached at the highest level. Ciro Immobile scored goals wherever he's went before, scoring goals for Italy as well, so it's a team that's going to have a lot of threats and a lot of danger. But do we think that this is a game that Celtic will really have to go and get points in if we want to try and get that European football after Christmas?
I mean, I think that the important thing always, and you'll know this as well, having played at the top level, the home games in the group are always important. I know it's an old cliche, you want to win your home games. Sometimes that becomes more difficult because the opposition you're up against, like you were just mentioning, are way out there. But we've got a good chance here, I think, and it becomes important because it's at Celtic Park. And it's not to get involved in sort of sweeping generalisations here, but with an Italian opposition, they're going to be organised. They're going to be hard to break down and to play against. But, and again, it's not to delve into the cliches. I genuinely believe this. The power of the crowd here in this stadium on nights like Wednesday night can be enough at times to drive a team forward. It can be enough to drive the ball over the line and hopefully get as a result.
Yeah. Cillian, from your experience, having played here at Celtic Park on European nights, just touching on that aspect of the crowd, is it a cliche from our point of view, or do you actually feel that difference that the crowd give you, and does that actually really help to push you forward?
No, it's definitely a legit thing. It's
right.
That's a good note that I've got there.
Much better players than me have said that as well. So you can probably take their word for it more than mine. But no, it's 100% true. It's almost like a willingness to, when there's a time, there's not rarely dull moments in Champions League games here. Whenever there is, the crowd just kind of lifts things and pushes the team forward. And I think it's something that takes a lot of opposing players by surprise. They probably don't players who haven't played here before won't have experienced it, I don't think. So I think it's will be a massive part of it. And it is, the home games and the groups are where, if you want to progress, you need to pick up points at home.
Yeah. Again, just kind of sticking with your own memories in the Champions League. I think the game that you played here at Celtic Park was the one against Manchester United in 2008, the one each draw, which you started in it. Just take us back to your memories of that and what comes to mind when you think of those European nights at Celtic Park.
For me, it all kind of happened so fast. I didn't really have time to really like let it, like, nerves kick in, really. I think it wasn't until the day before the game where I was told I'd be starting. And then kind of once it started, my lasting memory from it all, and like most vivid memory, is in the lineup and the music. I know every player says it the first time they're playing it, but the music lining up there, that's when it like hits home, where you're like, okay, this is Champions League. Like,
that must be incredible. You know, you watch it on the TV and you always think to yourself, see when the camera's panning along the line and the players are standing stern-faced. What did you do? Did you wink at the camera, or did you?
I didn't then, because I was a bit young. But later on, when I was in Cyprus and we were playing Champions League, and I said to myself, all right, I'm going to do it. And I kind of like pretended as if I was singing along to the anthem.
Brilliant. Super.
But
no one actually knows the words to the anthem, though. It's just like...
Nah, it's just kind of...
It's got to be
that last bit.
Wow, I mean,
that was beautiful, wasn't it?
That, though, that is professional singing.
But that's the only bit that you know. The whole other bit, you've got no idea what it's saying. You're just kind of humming along.
I bet it's great. I always think that must be a great thrill. What would you do? The camera's panning along the line. Are you looking serious? Are you winking? Are you waving to somebody in the stand?
I would just do that, what I done there.
You would sing
I would be the last person, because now they always kind of stay in that last person. Mm-hmm. I'd look right down the camera lines and just do that last bit, do the full,
Brilliant.
Give it everything.
Brilliant. See, what Ryan doesn't know is we're actually going to get him to sing the Champions League anthem on Wednesday night. Yeah. Brilliant. You'll be great. I've got great belief in it.
It's the best anthem, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's superb.
We can have a joke sometimes that, like, you hear the Europa League win, that what one's actually better, but it's obviously the Champions League one.
Aye, absolutely. I mean, the Europa League one's only better if you're not in the Champions League.
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
We don't know much about that right now.
No, that's true. We're just fully Champions League out, aren't we? But
I can say it because I'm not affiliated to the club. The Europa League anthem's rubbish. So it's...
I know, in the Conference League is the exact same anthem. I feel like they should get their own one as well, because they're just kind of piggybacking off of just trying to pretend to be the Europa League, and it's like, nah, get your own thing.
That's what we'll get you. We'll phone up UEFA and we'll get you to come up and sing the Conference League anthem. It's the only. I think that's only right, if I'm being honest with you.
But it is mad, the Champions League anthem, because like we get so accustomed to it here at Celtic Park that when the anthem blares out and everyone's standing there in the lineup, the fans go mental as if it's an actual goal going in. Yeah. And I feel like, okay, that's just what happens elsewhere. But then you go to games elsewhere around Europe and it doesn't like, even going to the Feyenoord game, the atmosphere was amazing before the match. But then when the anthem's going out, it's just quite quiet, and I'm kind of like sitting there just waiting for everything to erupt, and there's just these couple of thousand Celtic fans up in the corner which are going mental. What's your experiences of it? Is there any venues you've been at?
In Cyprus, it was more about the displays that the fans would put on. Wasn't so much like, still, like you're saying, still a really good atmosphere. But here it's a noise. Like that just, it's hard to describe. It is just like a shouting noise. Yeah. Like people aren't singing to it or anything. It's just loud. Like it's. Whereas abroad, it was more about the displays that the fans would do. Plus, it's different style of stadiums as well, where it's kind of like, it's more open stands.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So there's maybe not got
the sound wouldn't stay in as much.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a lot more on the displays that they could do.
What was the best venue you played in the Champions League? Because when you were in Cyprus, did you?
Well, it was Barcelona. So
Barcelona.
Yeah. But the PSG surprised me. The atmosphere.
Oh, really?
I thought that was one of the best. Their stadium was one of the best atmospheres played in.
I think when you watch PSG games, though, I sometimes think that. To be fair, French football, you know, some of those matches
get
a wee bit intense. But no, you're right. Actually, when I watch games, PSG games and stuff like that, I always think that as well. I'd love to go and see a PSG game
Yeah,
live or
yeah.
whatever, because the atmosphere does sound.
I went
like
there
you could play it.
stupidly, like, because it was when the time there's splashing
Take-up.
money
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
So you have this idea like they're just a wealthy club, and you forget about like they have actually really passionate fans.
Yeah,
the
So
fans
that's why
are
it kind of
great.
like took me by surprise a bit.
Yeah, but you must have. I mean, because you've played what? Poland, Cyprus, New Zealand, Scotland,
Bulgaria, that was
Bulgaria.
Yeah.
You must have played in some kind of red hot atmospheres in some of those places
In
as well.
Bulgaria, we played. So I was at CSKA Sofia, and we played Levski Sofia away. It was the first game back after the Christmas break, and we were winning. Were we winning 1-0 or 2-0 at half time? And I didn't start the game, so we were right warming up at half time. And during the half time, the riot police came and literally just bulldozed the CSK fans from the away section. Like just from the bottom, you could just see them pushing them up, and emptied the away stand at half time. So then for the full second half, we were playing with no away fans. Or it might have been maybe we scored in the second half or something,
Yeah.
but we ended up winning the game. And then like after, it was just so weird. Like afterwards, from before the game where it was just mayhem, to after the game, like their fans weren't making any noise, and then we had no fans to make any noise. So it was like total chalk and cheese between the first half and second half,
You're trying to
despite winning the
concentrate-
game.
Yeah, you're trying to
Yeah.
concentrate in the game as you're watching everybody just get.
Oh,
Kettled out the
yeah,
stadium.
it was bizarre.
Yeah, you told us before when you were on the podcast about was it the cup final as well, when all the fans were
Oh yeah,
running
That
onto
was-
the park. What was that
was
again?
the final of the cup.
In Cyprus?
And in Cyprus, yeah, we played Apollon Limassol, and it was when I was at Ammonia,
Mhm.
and it was 1-1. They scored to go 2-1 up, and it was like the last 5 minutes or something. And there was a load of other stuff around the game, but it ended up being played in their home stadium, and because normally it would be in the National Stadium, which was where Ammonia played, so they ended up basically doing a draw for who got to play in the home stadium kind of thing. It was weird. But anyway, at the end of the game, like the last 5 minutes, all their fans came out from the stands, and around the pitch there was a running track. So it was one of these like European style ones, and there was just like loads of their fans about 2 meters from the edge of the pitch. So we're attacking, and as you're attacking, you're almost like thinking, if we score here, like,
Yeah, what happens?
what do we do? Yeah, because the fans are literally there waiting to come on and celebrate. So if you score and they're like, hold on a minute, they're like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So it was the most bizarre ending to a game. And then as soon as the referee blew his whistle, all our fans came on to fight their fans.
Yeah.
So it was straight away the security guys were just like coming over and grabbing you and taking you out. It was like in the underneath dressing rooms and stuff. And then, so we're all in disappointed that we've just lost the final. And you can just hear like carnage, like a war
Yeah.
going on up
I watched it
above
back
us.
on YouTube after we discussed it, and I would, I'd say to anybody to give it a watch, because it's mental just to see all these fans at the side of the pitch. You're like, what is going on?
It was the Coca-Cola Cup final,
Yeah.
Cyprus, 2016, I'm going to say.
Something like that,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely give it a watch. We've deviated a little bit. Let's just quickly get back to the Lazio game before we move on. What do we think? Do we think we're going to get a result on this? Matthew?
I mean, we're coming into it on the back of 2 wins.
Yep.
So, and 2 good wins as well. Going away to Livingston, reduced to 10, 3-0. Then, of course, at the weekend's game there, to win it in that style, it's just got to give everybody a lift the way that we've done it. And so, no, I'm confident. And to quote a Scottish football pundit, come coach, it's always good to go into these games with a couple of wins on the back of your belt.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm confident. I'm feeling pretty good about going into this game. Yeah.
Cillian? Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's the other as much as Celtic have the confidence of scoring and winning late, Lazio also done it against Atletico Madrid with
Yeah, of course.
their keeper.
I
Like,
know
so
we didn't
they've
touch on that. I know.
they know that they have that in their locker as well. I think it should be a good game. I think for Celtic it comes down to probably taking chances.
Mhm.
I think it's almost, don't want to jinx it, but it's almost a given that they'll play well, keep the ball, have good passages of play, and I think it'll come down to just that quality in the final third in actually converting chances.
Yeah, as long as our keeper Providel's not playing up front, then hopefully I think we'll be all right. We're going
If he is, it means we're winning.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Good thinking.
We're going to take a little break for the moment, but if you're listening or if you're watching, we've got a first and last feature interview coming up just now with Anthony Ralston. We're going to bring you one of these interviews every week just to learn a little bit more about the players from the first team, the women's team and the B team as well. So enjoy this interview with Anthony Ralston and we'll be back with you shortly. Yes, everyone, we've got Anthony Ralston just fixing his mic there on the official Celtic FC podcast. Anthony, how's things with you? You well?
Brilliant, mate. Aye.
Very good.
Walking away, so.
Glad to hear it. Well, we're going to play a little special game of first and last.
Okay.
So you'll get the gist of it very quickly. We'll start going through the questions and you'll get around it very, very easily. So,
Happy days.
first of all, who was your first footballing hero when you were growing up?
Growing up, I would say like it's a standard one like Messi would be. Like growing up as a kid, I always preferred Messi over Ronaldo, even though Ronaldo's unbelievable. I'd always say Messi and Ronaldo, but just then when I started getting older, and kind of found my place in football, like position wise and stuff like that, I always looked up to Dani Alves as a right back. I think he just changed the game completely as a full back in general. So I'd go with him kind of as I got older. So that's kind of Messi and Dani Alves.
You see a bit of Dani Alves in you just now?
No, far from it.
Who'd be like your last footballing hero? So by that, like, is there anybody you look at now, maybe you're trying to model your game on, or anybody you just enjoy watching?
Not really, to be honest. No. No. And obviously, as well, I'd coming through the ranks, I had Mika at right back as well, who I took a lot from when I was younger.
Yeah.
Coming through the academy and stuff like that. So he was the right back when I was coming through my younger years. So I took a lot of learning for working closely with him and the way he played here. So but no, just kind of growing up, I'd say Dani Alves as I got older, but even to this day, Messi is like he's still just putting free kicks in the top bag at 90th minute just when he wants, you know what I mean? And then obviously the World Cup and stuff like that, just like he's on a different planet. So
do you watch quite a lot of football away from here?
I do. I tend to, if there's if I watch like obviously all the Champions League games that everyone will watch, and then if there's a good Prem game on, I'll maybe get a few of my mates round and watch that.
Because I always find like you never know a lot of time with people because this is your job.
Yeah.
Like you go away and think, you know, I'm done with the job for the day. I want to watch something else.
No, I watch it. I watch games. If I'm watching, if it's big games, like if there's big Champions League games or anything like that, I'll sometimes get a few of my mates round and that and watch that. But if there's just a good game on, I'll try and watch it. Depending on if I'm on Fowler duty, if I can get the wee one down to bed quick enough. But no, I tend to watch. I do watch football.
Right, okay. What's your first memory of going to Celtic Park? I might be going back a bit.
Aye. Well, my uncle used to take me to all my games when I was a kid. He had a season ticket. Maybe I edit this bit out because I can't. It's like if out the tunnel to the top right. Is that Jockstein?
Yes.
Yeah, top. Yeah. So I was up in the top tier watching.
No, it's the Lisbon Lions.
Is it Lisbon Lions stand? Sorry. So uncle used to take me all the games in the Lisbon Lions stand, and I used to. That was back then when the Nakamura was playing and things like that. So that was kind of my first memories of going to Celtic Park and watching the games.
Any games stand out?
Any games? No, not overly because I was so young. I just remember Zarafsky.
Yeah.
Players like that. It's crazy and it sticks to my mind. I had the gold boots and things.
Yeah.
And Nakamura always used to change his boots at half time, and I always used to remember saying, "Oh, that's he's changed his boots and things like that."
When we were in Japan, did you meet him at all?
No, I wasn't in Japan because of my injury, sure enough.
Yeah.
But I seen the pictures and that. I was like, but that's when I started going. So that was my first memories going to the game. I remember like that goal actually, like I used to look over, like that was when all the goal. When I was younger, I always used to like concentrate because I just felt it was too far away, you know, the other end. So like when they'd be scoring in that goal, and then I scored my first goal into that one, you know what I mean? So it's just things like that blow my brain. But and then obviously I started ball boying through the youth academy, so they put the boys in at the weekend. So I ball boyed for a few years. So I was going to the games, but I was also like feeling as if I was part of, you know, throwing the ball back and stuff like that. So I've got good memories of that. When they beat Barcelona and stuff like that, I was ball boying and stuff. So good memories. Amazing. Some nights, some Champions League nights I've got to experience as a ball boy is great memories, to be fair. So
I was always so jealous when I was growing up of watching the ball boys. Like it was always iconic. Like I always remember like Larson's goal in the 6-2 game, and when he does that chip,
that's right, and the boys,
and you see the ball boys in the back. I used
mental.
to be so jealous of them, and I used to always say to my dad, like, how do I
you
become
get that? I know.
if you asked me back then when I was younger, like, what do you want to be when I'm older? Would you be a ball boy?
Nah, I know.
So I'm always very jealous.
You used to try and get there early to get one of the corner seats, because you have more to do. You know what I mean? So
have you got like a last memory at all of going to games as a fan? I take it must have been a while since you've done that.
It's been a while. My last memories is going to a game normally would be maybe like saying no, it's still not normal, but going when I've been injured. You know what I mean? I've sat in with the fans, but
do you get more nervous when you're watching now, when you're not on the park, or
no, because I think I know more. Like the boys are alright. You know what I mean? It's It's when I was younger, and I don't know what's going to happen and stuff like that. But my last memory would have been when I was ball boying, or as far back as when my uncle used to take me when it was just completely normal, just going to a game. I've got great memories of going as a fan, and so
brilliant.
I even remember I didn't get to go, but the Champions League game, I actually have vivid. It's weird the memories you have. Like I was in my mum's in Coatbridge, and it was when they played Man United, and Boric made the Zaha's penalty, and it was who else scored that night?
Nakamura scored for
Nakamura's free kick that night. I remember that. Things like that when you're a kid and you've got these memories, it's like you were asking specific games.
I know.
But
a couple away from football. Can you remember first holiday you went on away from your family?
That's a good one. Don't know how far we can dive into this. But I went to Napa with my mate for school. My mate Jack. So we went to Napa, and
how old?
it was we were 17, I think, and no, 17. I can't remember. Just after our first year full time, so we were young anyway, and we went over just the 2 years, and as soon as we landed, we were in, and then he just quick change, ran down to the strip, and found the Scottish bar, and we're in there mingling with all the Scottish, and had first bottle of MD and all that, back in the day. I was like, it's an eye opener, but it was a great holiday. I remember my ma kind of sat me down, you text me every night, and I'm like, I text you every night, man. And then off I went, that was it. So
you're waiting up at 6 p.m. and stuff like
that. Try to text back.
What was the last holiday you went on?
A lot more mature one. It was
no MD?
No MD. It was south of France with apple juice and orange juice with my wee girl, and it was very strictly professional. That's it. And I enjoyed that. So all my family came out, and we spent 10 days out in the south of France, and it was really nice. My wee girl was just, you could have been anywhere in the world. It was just in and out the pool all day and eating food and just having a good time. So it was good. It was a really nice one. Enjoyed that.
A couple more. First Instagram post. You might need your phone for that unless you remember.
I'm going to get it up, but it's whether I show it or not. It's a different one. I actually don't even know.
I actually had a check before.
You've digged it up.
It's fine. Because I'd done this because I was maybe wanting to see if there's a wee story in it at all.
Right, there must be then if you're bringing it up.
But like a good one, like it's all related to football.
Let me hear it then.
So it's fine.
Oh, there we go.
So it's you going back to ball boy. Do you remember what that game was? So.
Was it the Barcelona one?
Might have been. Yeah,
Ah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I've not checked the date.
It's me in the middle when they do the flag, and I've just
What's
taken
that
a
like
video.
standing there when all that was going on?
Unbelievable. It's like still no different. It's actually still not that different. It's just that I'm more concentrated because I'm playing, and it's hard to take it all in. But like being there back then and just being a ball boy, you're like, this is unbelievable. But then even still playing, you're still like, bloody hell. It's
Still get like a bit of like goosebumps and stuff.
a wee bit, aye,
Yeah.
actually, aye. And even at the weekend there, you know what I mean, when walk on came on and we were in the huddle at the time, you know what I mean, in the game, you can't not notice it, you know what I mean, when you're there, it's unbelievable. But I been back then and then being like, oh, imagine being able to be part of this playing, and then when you're playing in it, you're like, this is class. That's what you think it would be, you know what I mean? So that's weird. That's funny. We sort of speak about ball boying, and then that's the first dive.
I was going to ask what your last Instagram post is, but I've actually not checked it. I don't know if that's a...
My last Instagram one was just for the weekend.
Was
It's
it?
me just looking ugly on the ball, making an ugly face. There's not one photo ever that gets sent into that group chat where I've got a normal face. There's always something going on, and I'm like, well, I've got no choice but to put it up. So that's just it. Unfortunately,
Stuck with it.
Aye.
Stuck with what you've got.
Yeah.
The last one, talk us through your first trophy and your last trophy. Anything that comes to mind. So what was your first one?
But yeah, there's been ones in the youth academy which I'm sure we won one.
Sometimes there's a
We
good
won
one.
the first one I remember winning. That comes to mind is the Poznan tournament we used to go to when we were kids.
Yeah.
And we had Martin Miller as our youth academy coach and that, and we went out there for a good few years in a row, and all the parents would come out as well, because we were generally maybe under 12s or that, and we won it one of the years I remember. And then obviously the most recent one being the Scottish Cup. So
What was that feeling
there
like,
you go.
getting your hands in another treble?
Aye, unbelievable. Be part of it. The first time around, I'd only played a few games and things like that. So, but that was the first one I properly felt part of it. And it's a special feeling, and the boys thoroughly deserved it all. And we've worked so hard, but now the work begins again, and our aim's to do the same. So we just need to keep grinding every day, and that's it. So.
That's a good place to end it. Hoping for more trophies this season.
Happy
Anthony,
days.
thanks very much.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, everyone, welcome back along. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Anthony Ralston. It's myself, Ryan Marr, Matthew Campbell and Cillian Sheridan in the studio. We've touched on the first team's game against Lazio. Matt, we're going to quickly discuss about the B team as well, because they are also in action against Lazio in the UEFA Youth League on Wednesday at Lesser Hampden. I believe the game is at as well. So if you've got an opportunity before coming to Celtic Park, then get down to support the young hoops. They come into the game on the back of a defeat in the first game away to Feyenoord. Lazio themselves, they also lost against Atletico Madrid. It's probably hard to tell, obviously, because we don't get a chance to see the European teams in action, but hopefully they can get a result in this one. They proved to get a couple of results last year in the Youth League as well, so hopefully in this one they can get one.
And the thing is as well, at the weekend, just they're coming off the back of a good win.
Yeah, 1-0 victory.
The 1-0 against Stirling United was a late-ish goal. It's not quite Matt O'Reilly's standard of late. It was 78 minutes on the clock when Jude Bonner got the goal for the B team. But yeah, you're right. It's hard to sit and say, here's the danger players for Lazio's B team or whatever. You know they're going to be quality players. It was the same we come up against Feyenoord's B team just a few weeks ago. But as we spoke to Steve McManus about on the last podcast, these are great opportunities for our B team to test themselves against what is undoubtedly going to be quality opposition. And from your own point of view, Cillian, of course, because you would have performed at under-19s and reserves level for Celtic, did you ever face European opposition at that level? And if so, what do you think our boys can take from these games?
We played, I remember in the youth team we went over, it was when I first came over straight away, and we played a tournament in Villarreal, but that was like my first experience of nearly playing anyone for Celtic, so it was probably wasn't a great example for me.
When you were just a runner back
Yeah,
then.
I was like, what's going on here? But then I don't remember too often. I remember we played, in fact, when the year before I played in the Champions League. I'm sure we played Man United's youth team.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
And I think we might have drew 1-1 with them or something.
Yeah, like
I think when they came up to play, they'd bring the youth team up. We didn't do it down there. But as far as I can remember, that was the only teams I remember playing, like at youth or reserve. Because I was also lucky where I was kind of with the first team as well for pre-season, so I would have missed maybe other tournaments that were going on abroad or playing other teams. So
I think in terms of the way that the youth league is sort of structured and how it's played each year, it seems to be something that's growing in popularity as well, because I tuned in to watch us taking on the Feyenoord B team a few weeks ago. There were thousands at that match. You know, there was a real electric atmosphere, which again I can only think will benefit our B team in the long run. Playing against quality opposition in a real competitive atmosphere, that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think that's what they're going to look at it as. I think last season they got a victory away to RB Leipzig, I believe it was, but the B team played so many games last year. It was 55, 60 games, and to get games in all the different levels, the Lowland League, the Youth League, Premier League, Invitational Cup, all these different standards. You know, if you speak to Darren and Stephen, they say it's done the boys the world of good. So hopefully it'll be the same this time around, but hopefully they can get a result. And yeah, definitely, if you get a chance to get to Lesser Hampden to see them, then check that out before coming to Celtic Park. It's also a big week as well, Matt, for the women's team. They're just in the back of a really impressive 6-0 victory over Hamilton in the Cup on Sunday. I mean, their start to the season has been incredible. I've actually got some of the stats here just now. They've played 7 and won 7 in the league. They've got that game in the Cup. They were obviously so close in Europe as well. They scored 56 goals in all competitions this season. It's incredible. And this Thursday night in Airdrie, they play Glasgow City in the league, which is going to be live on Sky as well. So we saw last season just how special those games were against Glasgow City. They'll be hoping for the same again, but it's a really exciting week.
It totally is, and you mentioned there the 6-0 victory at the weekend against Hamilton Accies. The women's team, they are absolutely electric right now. They're scoring for fun. The way that they're playing is a joy to watch, and then going into Thursday's match against Glasgow City, there's so much at stake because the rest of the league have played 8 games, but Celtic and Glasgow City have played 7. So the winner of this game, well, if we win this game, we go top of the table. If Glasgow City win this game, they go joint top of the table with Rangers. It's sure to be a cracker, and you can't help but fancy our chances here because look at those stats.
Yeah, they've been amazing.
They are phenomenal. They're phenomenal right now. And yesterday as well, or at the weekend, rather, the 6-0 game against Hamilton, that's 6 different goal scorers in the game as well. So the goals are being spread around the entire team. So I think they'll be full of confidence going into Thursday's match, and I think it's an unmissable game as well if you get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, if you get a chance to go down as well to watch the match. Of course, that Glasgow City game last season was a game at Celtic Park which broke the record attendance, a 3-1 victory, and I know we just narrowly missed out on the league title last year, but you got the sense last season, I think this season's going to be the same. The strength of ourselves, Rangers and Glasgow City, that these are probably going to be the games where the league could be won or lost. Yeah. So hopefully they can get a big 3 points, but they're going into it in the best possible form. They've just seemed to improve from last season as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm sure we don't need our fingers crossed though, but hopefully they can get the job done on Thursday. And yeah, definitely if you get a chance for that as well, then get down to Airdrie to cheer on the girls because your support is always needed. Moving on, we've got obviously Cillian Sheridan here, so we're going to have a little look back on your Celtic career, Cillian, and some of the other parts of your journey in football. Matt?
Yes.
Cillian's Celtic career. Came here as a youth player from Ireland. What do we remember about Cillian's Celtic career?
Cillian, you have your own section in the stats book.
Brilliant.
And it's
Brilliant. Can't wait to hear
what
this.
a place to have your own section. So, 12 first team appearances for Celtic, 4 goals. Now, we're having a little look back at sort of your debut and your Champions League debut and so on. So, as we mentioned earlier, your first team debut came away to Inverness in the Scottish Cup quarter final in February 2007. Have you got many memories of that game itself? I know earlier we were touching on, do you remember any late winners? And conveniently you didn't remember that game.
I think for fans that probably don't remember that game to begin with, it was you came off the bench. Was the score at 1-0 at that time to Inverness?
Yeah. I
you
came on, changed the game pretty much.
Yeah.
Won the game. Celtic went on to win the Scottish Cup that year. All thanks to me, basically. That's all you need to know.
That's it. Maybe we can move on.
That's it.
Thank you for listening. No.
No, I came on losing 1-0. We had a corner. We scored pretty late. Stephen Presley scored. And then I set up Kenny Miller for a winner, last minute winner. And then literally the only thing I remember from it is I'm sure I had a bit of a black eye. I think I played in a youth team game and got a black eye. So like in photos back then, I used to get all my kit extra large, and I'm a large now, like, so I wasn't an extra large back then. And so like looking back on photos of it, there's just this big baggy jersey on me, or I look kind of sick. I look ill, like I'm pale, black eye. And I remember after the game in the dressing room, Neil Lennon like saying how good I done.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the like real memories I can have.
That must
from
have been
it.
a wonderful feeling though, coming off the pitch and someone of the stature of Neil Lennon saying that to you and won the game. Looking at some more of these moments from your career, your first start came in November 2008, which was a 4-2 win over Hibernian, and you scored in that game. Describe what that feels like, scoring for Celtic.
It's a hard thing to describe. It's like I remember my celebration from it is just like I've just like done the weirdest like fist pump in the air, and it was more like just a, like, yes, I've scored for Celtic kind of thing. It wasn't like sheer joy or like
is it almost
crazy
a
relief
relief to it in a way?
It's like borderline relief and like happiness that like yes, like I've just scored, because I kind of was always confident if I started I could score, and I just kind of like once it happened, I was like, I can remember the goal like vividly. As soon as I went past the keeper, I was kind of like, I'm scoring here. This is a goal. So like it was nice to be able to know, or probably then like have the blind confidence to be like, this is definitely going in. So it was just like it was almost like you did say relief, but it is a hard one to describe. My celebrations kind of explain it better.
I can imagine. It must be everybody's dream though, isn't it, to score for Celtic and think, I mean, maybe you could overthink these things of that'll be my celebration, or I'll run to this part of the stadium or whatever, but I bet in the moment it just gets away from you.
No, to be fair, I've never been one to have planned celebrations. Done it once or twice, and then
what did you go for? When
it was when I was on loan at St Johnson, and I done I remember planking was all the rage.
Oh yeah. Just
and
lying face down and something.
I scored and just lay face down on the ground, and then I think it was just that one actually.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another one.
Very innovative.
Aye, definitely, and topical as well at the time. October 2008, you came on in the Champions League at Old Trafford. We were talking earlier on a little bit about that. As a football player, that's what it's all about, isn't it? You want to be playing in the best arenas in the game, and Old Trafford surely one of those.
Yeah, it was probably similar to the cup game, because they were losing. So you're losing 3-0 and you thought, right, how can I get this back? Cillian, warm up, on you go, save us. But no, I I don't know if you have when I came on or anything, but it was maybe like the last 10, 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, I think I looked into it earlier, about 15 to go.
Yeah, the game was done, and I think Gordon Strachan was just giving me a chance to like play in a game like that, in a stadium like that. And I just remember how good the United players were. Like Rooney, Tevez, Johnny Evans was playing then. He Cruyffed me in the box.
Yeah.
That's
literally.
I know.
It's mental.
Do you think that made it on his highlights reel? The Cruyff
John
one?
Ep, maybe he put that into his video highlights when he went back to Man U to say like, look, you know what I can do. You know, sign me again. But he's that Burnley game recently. He scored a goal which got chalked off, but then he played like this unbelievable ball in for Bruno Fernandes. So I'm sure he's still got it.
I wonder if he's ever Cruyff done anybody else throughout his career, or attempted to, or if he just won and out, you know. Done one Cruyff turn and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
I wouldn't even attempt a Cruyff turn, so fair play to him for even trying it, but
definitely. As we're just sort of moving on, talking about your career and stuff like that as well there, Cillian, you know, we've touched on your memories of those games and those big moments, I guess, for you, but what are your sort of memories in terms of your time coming through, breaking into the first team, making that transition from the youth levels to the first team? You know, describe what that was like, that journey.
It all happened quite fast. It was like I came over without really any expectations, and then hit the ground running my first season in the youth team, and then like within my first season to have made my debut, I never would have imagined it. And probably like when I first came over, if people saw me the first few weeks, and you told them by the end of the season he'll have made his debut, there's no way anyone would have believed.
Do you think you would have made your debut?
I came over, I was raw, because I'd never had like academy football or upbringing, so it was just a totally different world to what I'd been playing. Like no, not to shoot down what I was doing before back home, but it was so different to like the trainings and stuff, and like even doing like little possession boxes, and then for me to go up, and I remember like doing possession boxes up with the first team that they do just as a warm up, like a little fun exercise, and for me it was like it was like a run. I'd need to do a cool down after, because I was just always be in the middle. I couldn't. Gordon Strachan would take part in them, like would never give it away, and I remember like coming away thinking, how's he do that? Like how's he, like at that age, still so good in like, he's still doing part of the training that I should be doing, or like that I should be good at. I've got better at it now, by the way. But no,
just for all those clubs out there that potentially you are better at it now.
But it was like it just went so fast. I was lucky that I hit the ground running. Once I got going in the youth team, I had a really good scoring records my first season, got into the first team, and then I just enjoyed the whole time. Like I never had any hard times or was never homesick. Everyone in the youth team got on with, like, it was just everything went as good as it could have went, really.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking out the time to come into us and chat all things about the game and Lazio, to look back in your career as well. It's been really good to have you on. You enjoyed it, Matt?
Absolutely. It's been a good laugh, and again, just to quote another Scottish pundit come coach, it was good to see Cillian, you know, take the podcast by the initiative here today as well.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
You came straight part of the team, knew what we're all about. So thank you so much for it, Cillian.
Thanks very much. My pleasure.
Yeah, and all the best for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll see you at a club very soon.
Yeah, thank you.